I am by name is Margaret Lomonya. I am a cultural leader, but a volunteer of Karamoja Development Forum, and also working with the Civil Society Coalition of Indigenous People of Uganda.
Thank you. This is the first international research conference to be held in Karamoja. How do you see the significance of this event?
I'm seeing it very important because it brings out the issues of pastoralists in broadly. So because it makes us to understand how other pastoralists are also being handled, how their government is handling them. Because, for example, this regional meeting is composed of other countries, where we also have opportunity to learn from other countries, and then also to see the gaps, which gaps we have as pastoralists in Uganda. So then, for example, now you can see some countries already been catered. They have already, I would say, they have already handled their issues pertaining their lifestyles as pastoralists. But to us, when you come to us as Uganda, we are still yet blank. We have not been involved in policy making on exactly what is happening. We hear policies are there. You know, policies is law. A law is bigger than a policy. A policy is just something to do with a draft, which is not yet formulated to be a real, true information that maybe it's an instrument that is binding people in terms of governance, in terms of securing you. Because for us now, pastors, what I know is that we completely don't have any law that favors us indigenous people in Uganda. Because when you go to Uganda, you'll find out that Uganda, the coverage in Uganda, you'll find out that 84 square kilometers is the land which belongs to the pastoralists. Then which I was thinking at least with these regional meetings that we have across, at least will enable us to give us a faith to pastoralists as Ugandans, and would also enable us to cope now from these regional meetings that we have learned today, where me personally I was impressed the way Ethiopians I handle in their perspective as pastoralists, respecting their rights, respecting their decisions, and also now maybe what I know with the rest of the countries as far as I listened yesterday, what I learned was that what was so much in them was I think they had some compliance with their government. I think they were looking at their decision as pastoralists. They were also involved in most of the meetings to find out their views, and also so that now when the policy is made, they are aware and they are moving together with their government. That's what I perceive.
So, are there any key issues that have grabbed your attention during the conference so far?
Yes. What I was looking, we are giving this view, and we have been giving them exactly the live our pastoralists from Karamoja. Because when you talk about pastoralism is not for everybody. It's for a specific group of people or ethnicity group of people. Because you cannot get somebody from Kampala. Somebody from Kampala can be having a cow that one can put it under a tree, one cow or two. You cannot compare with a pastoralist who lives in Karamoja in humid arid lands, who sometimes is seasonal way of living is seasonal. He knows at this season where can I be? Where can I be in this season? We are seasonal pastoralists. That's how we call for ourselves as to be pastoralists. We live in arid humid lands. You find that the most disturbed places in Africa, or even almost I think in Africa as a continent, is of pastoralism. If you move in the whole of Africa, you'll find that all African countries have people all who are pastoralists live in arid humid lands. It's a God given thing in them, and they know how to move around with their life. So I put across saying that pastoralists must remain as pastoralists. There is nothing a law should change from us. The only thing is we should share. You cannot tell us that there is a corridor. Because first of all, for us pastoralists, we don't have any land title at all, in any way. We don't have my land. Tell what kind of systems now people are talking of. No. For us pastoralists, we grew knowing our communal land was for everybody, to belong to anybody who is a pastoralist. But it was a seasonal land, and when it is maybe from March to August, cows stay home with people. Then meanwhile, other grass, the bush grass there is instant. Nobody has touched it. So that when it reaches November, December, they now look at it and they look at that direction for the cows to go and eat that grass, which is stocked at the time of rain. Then the only thing they look at it, where they are going, they look at water. When eating this hard grass, they need at least to have water that can soften the grass, the dry lands, the dry grass they are eating for their digestion. That's what we used to do, and they could stay from there. After again March is when they will come back when it's time for cultivation. But now this issue of saying that giving maybe boundaries, saying that you have to survey the land for the pastoralists, that's not possible because it depends on the season. We can maybe say this season we are not going, and then we are forced to go. So it is not a must that we are really. I don't see that really as something very reasonable for a pastoralist to be handled in a technical way, as people say. They should not limit their pastoralists from their indigenous life. So the only thing that we have to do is maybe we have to integrate traditional knowledge into the system of the technology so that we have measures in terms of decision making, our involvement in meetings, and then when we involve in meetings, we also have now elites. People talk about elites. Karamoja used not to have people who are not educated, but we used to move. We used not to have this diseases that we have. As much as now we have taken children into school, we are getting a lot of challenges. One is proud of a child that this one is a Karamoja, can lead us well. And at the end of the day, you find that that one is the one involved in this. Middleman is the only involved in doing some kind of devious things which covers the community, what the elders. I can give you for example, that land in Lopei. The government was planning to put a man-made lake in Lopei, which was to serve all the communities of Karamoja. Amidst that, we think of water. Water alone is not a source that can keep the animals in Karamoja. You can make for us a man-made lake, but animals cannot take water again. Definitely, they have to walk. Then amidst that, people are saying that is the pastoralists who are bringing this kind of climate change issues, disasters. No. How come that even there's already climate change disaster, even in Europe, in the world? Is everybody, even in cities, are they pastoralists like us? So this is a cross-cutting issue. We are all contributing to this in factories, pollution, all those things. Whereby now the carbon, we are cutting trees, yes. So the carbon cannot be absorbed into the forest. There are no trees to absorb the carbon. So you find that we all contribute for the disaster of the climate change in this world. It's not pastoralists. So we want to live as a life with pastoralists as usual, without any demarcation, without putting everything saying that this place is for pastoralists, this corridor is for what. We don't want that. And also now elders, we don't want elders. Some people, when they say they want elders to give a view on this kind of a point that the government can come up with. You see, when we say government, even me, I'm a government, all of us, we are government. We should contribute to the development of this government of ours, like in Uganda. Our involvement is that we have also to look at the issues of gender in all perspectives, being land or not land. We need to be involved, and then we have to consult enough consultation so that it makes us to make accurate decision making that we think is good for all of us. That when we move, we should look at the generation, because now tomorrow we are here, we are mixing things, and tomorrow we are going. I think 5 years from now, some other people let us can go off. We should be able to be doing things for generation, because I am seeing now, if we leave things to go off, I don't know where our generation will be. They will even stay without homes. That's what I'm seeing. If the pastoral land can be given, how will pastoralism be in Karamoja? Unless if they want completely to clear it, it means if they want to do that, giving us corridors which have never been there before, it's very difficult for us to adapt something which has never been there since memorial. We should go, they should come, we share. What can we do? Share those things. Like for example, somebody was saying we should make a man-made lake in Lopei, that we should stop this one for movement. Fine. Water is there, you want to make a man-made lake. Can animals alone take that water alone without grass? When for us, we used to move from here after staying at home, we used to go very far and look for our grass. But our animals could live. There are those rivers, outlet rivers, however small they are. People know how to scoop water from underground. They used to survive. Water is not the only source that animals can live. The corridor for animals, for pastoralists in Uganda must be left as it is, without any issues. Because for us, we used to hear about minor land in other parts, the center of Uganda. What those kind of things. Another thing that I'm looking at in Karamoja is because there is a way the tribes in Uganda make their kind of, I would say, their leadership. They have the kabakas, they have all the kings, things of that kind. For us in Karamoja, we have age sets. These age sets alone, when they are in the tree, they don't make a decision. They do a collective decision. After a long consultation, they sit, they share. It is not one man's decision. They sit and they come and they decide what they can do without a kingdom, whereby even there was respect to everybody. It's not only one man. And all in all, there is a way Karamojongs used to handle life, pastoralists handle life. When you go to what we call Akriket is a place where people worship, asking something, some blessing to God, God to open other ways they want. And when you go to what we call Ekokwa is a place decisions are made. These people sit for decision making, seeking for certain other things. What can we do here? Those things. Now, when you pick when this get even this one of Ekokwa, what I do these days, what our people sometimes, our government does is, they can pick some 6 or 3. Those ones are not, they don't do Ekokwa in that manner. Ekokwa is something which is done in a big number. And ideas are thrown there, people share, the outcome is received. And then they also move to the next. But integrating traditional knowledge into the systems, pastoralism, and all the government activities that they want to do. And we don't want this issue of surveying land for pastoralists, that giving us this land. What about this one? What will happen? Who divides like that? It's a land, it's a God-given land. Now I can give example of these exotic cows which were brought from Western. I think they were looking at, they were saying that they were restocking cows for Karamojongs. I think they saw us with very few cows, they were restocking. But restocking a cow, you bring a cow which is used to staying with a lot of grass, with a lot of water, you bring to a dry land. That cow cannot even survive. That's why the government has wasted a lot of money buying those cows. Nothing is in place. We are just still left with our local cows. They should look other options of restocking the Karamojongs in their own cows, in their own ways, elevating their lives. If it means elevating their lives, they should elevate it in another way, that they should be consulted.